Hi everyone, my name is Amanda and welcome to my true crime channel where we talk about all things true crime related. Unsolved cases, solved cases, missing persons cases, old cases, new cases. If it's true crime, we talk about it. So I guess this is my first video. I think it's going to be a little bit shorter than the rest just so I can get used to filming, talking in front of a camera, and doing the editing part. I decided to make a YouTube channel to discuss true crime because I found myself doing deep dives into different cases, and I don't really have too many true crime friends that I can send links to and have conversations with about it, so I decided to bring it to YouTube. Before we jump into the video, I just wanted to take a moment to ask you to like and subscribe to my video. It'll really help my channel grow, and if you're really trying to be supportive, feel free to share this with all your true crime friends. And if you want to follow me on social media, please feel free. I'm at AmandaWarnerYT on all platforms, but I'll go ahead and post those in the description box. All right, today's video is about 9-year-old Amber Hagerman and how her kidnapping will go on to change the United States and even many other countries around the world. I do want to give a trigger warning. I mean, this is a true crime channel, so we will be talking about murder and sometimes, unfortunately, gruesome things. But this one is about a child, a 9-year-old child. So if that's something that you cannot handle, please feel free to check back at my next video. Amber Renee Hagerman was born on November 25th, 1986 in Arlington, Texas, to her parents, Richard Hagerman and Donna Whitcomb. And although Donna was just 19 years old when she gave birth to Amber, she was really excited about being a mom. So 4 years after Amber was born, the family grew a little bit more by adding little brother Ricky to the mix. According to a TV documentary called After Amber, her parents were never married and split up about a year before Amber's disappearance. So as I said, Amber's mother and father split up. Amber went on to live with her mother, Donna, and this was a struggle for the family to make ends meet on a single mother's salary, which Donna ended up dropping out of school in the 7th grade. So it was extremely hard for her to find a decent job to end up supporting Amber, Ricky, and herself. Now, this would cause Donna to go on welfare after Amber and her brother and her mother left their father. The family even participated in a TV documentary which was about welfare reform and went on to show Donna struggled to get off of welfare after she left Richard. Although the news channel decided not to air the episode about welfare reform as it was expected to be released after Amber was murdered, they did make a special, which I mentioned earlier, called After Amber. They were actually recording this episode about welfare reform when Amber went missing, so a lot of the documentary in After Amber was recorded live from this news station as it was happening. I did watch the special, and there were so many clips about Amber enjoying life and talking to the camera. It was rather heartbreaking. I was not a huge fan of the emotional aspect of After Amber, but that's the reality of losing a child in this way. In the special, there were a lot of clips of Amber just being a fun-loving kid and explaining how she was doing well in school despite all the family struggles of trying to make it on welfare. It was Saturday, January 13th, 1996, when Amber, her mother, and her little brother Ricky went to her maternal grandparents' house. It was a warmer day, so the kids, of course, wanted to ride their bikes, and Amber had just gotten this pink bike for Christmas a few weeks before, and she was really excited to take it out for a spin. The kids ended up leaving the grandmother's house at about 3:10 p.m., headed off to go on a bike ride. They were reminded the importance of staying close to the house, but as children do, they quickly found themselves pedaling off about 2 blocks away into a Winn-Dixie parking lot that had been abandoned. Ricky is on the younger side. Remember, he's just 5 years old. So he was more nervous about getting caught being further away from the house than they were supposed to be. So he decided to leave Amber in the Winn-Dixie parking lot and then travel back home. Once he returned to the grandparents' house, his mother asked where Amber was, and he said that he actually left her at the Winn-Dixie parking lot. So Amber's mother told him to head back, get Amber, and then both of them needed to come back home. However, when Ricky returned to the Winn-Dixie parking lot, he wasn't able to find Amber. All that was there was her bike laying on the ground. So Ricky raced back to his grandparents' house as fast as his little legs could pedal, where he reported back to his mother that he wasn't able to find Amber. This obviously scared all of the adults, so Amber's grandfather jumped in his car and sped down to the abandoned Winn-Dixie parking lot, which was only a couple blocks away. And when he got there, he saw the police were already there. A 911 call was made at 3:18. That's just 8 minutes after Amber and Ricky left their grandparents' house. The call was made by a nearby neighbor named Jimmy Kivel, who was able to actually see the kidnapping happen. The call was made by a nearby neighbor who was doing some yard work in his backyard. His backyard was actually behind a fence, so when he saw the kidnapping, he was unable to run over and do anything. And at 78 years old, I'm not exactly sure how fast he would have been able to make it over to help Amber, even if the fence wasn't there. So the neighbor, whose name was Jimmy Kivel, was actually a retired sheriff, and I guess if anyone was to witness the crime, I would want it to be a retired sheriff, as you would think that they are trained to pay attention to details and might be able to notice things that maybe you or me would not. Anyways, back to the kidnapping. Jimmy described the kidnapper as a white or Hispanic male in his 20s to 30s with dark hair and being under 6 feet tall. He was driving a single cab black truck that was made in the 1980s or 1990s. Jimmy said that he actually saw the truck sitting in a parking lot next to the abandoned Winn-Dixie parking lot. This would be the parking lot for a laundromat. So Jimmy described how the black truck pulled up alongside Amber, grabbed her off her bike, and pulled her into the truck, kicking and screaming. Once Amber was in the truck, he peeled off, going towards the center of Arlington. Police interviewed people at the laundromat and didn't obtain any type of information in regards to these interviews, so no one had any idea who grabbed Amber. There are missing person flyers printed within hours of Amber going missing to be handed out to people and to be hung up around the neighborhoods. According to the flyer, Amber was 4 foot 7 inches, weighing 72 to 74 pounds, with reddish brown hair. She was last seen wearing pink jeans and a gray shirt with handprints all over it. It wasn't until 4 days later that a man who was taking his dog for a walk around his apartment complex found Amber's body. Sadly, Amber was completely nude except for a sock on her left foot. She was actually found at around 11:30 at night, and the person who found her made such a commotion that news broadcasters showed up and started reporting on the fact that a body was found before police were able to notify Amber's mother and father that a body was located. Although it wasn't confirmed to be Amber until the next day, the news reporting that they had unconfirmed reports that it was indeed Amber Hagerman. So yeah, that's how Amber's mother found out that her daughter had been murdered. In this special, I watched they interviewed the man that had found Amber's body, and it seemed that finding the body had really taken a toll on him. It was something that stayed with him and his family. Sometimes it's easy to forget all the victims that a true crime case affects. I mean, obviously there's Amber and her family, but there's people who find the body and people who end up having to see the crime scene the way it is. It's just, I can't even imagine how horrible that would be. So Amber's body was found about 4 miles away from where she was kidnapped, and it was in such a secluded area that it led police to believe that the murderer was known to that area. Police also believe that whoever took Amber kept her alive for 48 hours after she was kidnapped. An autopsy was conducted, and it was determined that the cause of death was cut wounds to the neck. The ME and police are unsure if it was caused by a knife or a screwdriver. After Amber's pass, it was so hard on her mother that she ended up staying at her parents' house for 2 weeks before she returned to the apartment that she shared with Amber. Now, this is one of the parts of the specials that I did not enjoy watching. When Amber's mother, Donna, returned home to see the house as they left it when they left with Amber, I could not imagine the heartbreak, and to see her doing it was just excruciating. I wouldn't. Now, this isn't normally something I would want recorded or would be okay with it being recorded, but Donna did consent to the recording, obviously, so I guess if she wants it out there, but it was just so heartbreaking. As far as Amber's case, that's basically it. It still remains unsolved, and there has not been any persons of interest or suspects named by police. There was a press conference held back in 2021 where police wanted to bring awareness to Amber's case again, and they also indicated that there was some sort of DNA that they had collected from the crime scene, and that they hope that the advancements in DNA can lead to Amber's case eventually being solved and the murderer being apprehended. There is a $10,000 reward that is being offered for the arrest and indictment of someone in Amber's murder case. According to police, Amber's case has not ever been considered a cold case because it has not gone over 180 days without a new tip or a lead coming in. If anyone has any information regarding Amber's case, they are asked to call the Arlington police at 817-575-8888. 8823 or Crime Stoppers of Tarrant County at 817-469-8477, and I will put both of those numbers in the description box. So I found Amber's case because, for those of you that don't know, Amber's case is what brought around Amber Alerts. Amber's mother, Donna, at one point said she wanted to be remembered for more than just the Amber Alert. So while I find this information interesting, I wanted to include it at the end of my video so I could still respect Donna's wishes and putting her daughter obviously first. So like many children's cases, the news covered Amber's story and showed her picture. This brought about one lady thinking, why is there no alert system put out for children to allow people to know when one is kidnapped besides just the news story? This woman, named Diane Simone, brought this information to local police and the local news broadcasters. So she brought this idea of a system to police and the news stations, who in 1996 implemented the first Amber Alert system. It all started in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, where local broadcasters teamed up with police in order to create a quick early warning system to get out when a child is abducted. The Amber Alert system would go on to be implemented in all 50 states, the Virgin Islands, District of Columbia, and over 30 international countries. Amber actually stands for America's Missing Broadcast Emergency Response Alert. I actually thought this was just for Amber's name, but that's one reason I like doing these deep dives, because then you get a clear understanding of what's correct and how sometimes these cases will stay with us even in the future. According to the Amber Alert website, as of May 2022, there are over 1,100 kids that have been successfully recovered through the Amber Alert response system. According to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, who started tracking Amber Alerts back in 2005, there have been more than 3,000 Amber Alerts issued, and 99% of those have been solved. So there are a lot of cases in the true crime world where we talk about children being kidnapped and Amber Alerts are issued, and then there's times when Amber Alerts are not issued. And sometimes that can be frustrating if we don't understand exactly why one isn't issued. So I think it's important that maybe we could all learn a better understanding of when an Amber Alert is issued after it meets certain criteria. Okay, so it's the Department of Justice who outlines the criteria of Amber Alerts to be issued. Also, I got all this information from the Amber Alert website, so I'll go ahead and link that in the description box as well. 1, there needs to be reasonable belief by law enforcement that an abduction has occurred. 2, the law enforcement agency in charge of the case believes that the child is in imminent danger of bodily harm or death. 3, the victim needs to be 17 years old or younger. 4, this one seems to be the reason that a lot of Amber Alerts are not issued. There needs to be enough information about the victim and the abduction for law enforcement to issue an Amber Alert to assist in the recovery. Now, once police believe they have met all the criteria for the Amber Alert to be issued, they will notify broadcasters and the state transportation officials to get the word out to the public. There are a few different types of alerts that are issued to the public that are not as commonly used as Amber Alerts, but you never know when you might need to know them in the future. So there's a Silver Alert, which notifies the public of an adult that may have wandered off with an illness like Alzheimer's or dementia or another illness like that. A Missing Endangered Alert are for adults with some sort of intellectual disability and might be even at higher risk because they look like they're a high-functioning adult. The next two are rather few and far between, but again, I was just going to mention them because you never know when you might hear one. So there's Blue Alerts, and this is mainly for police officers to be issued when they are in search of someone who has injured or killed a police officer, either local, federal, or state level police officer or law enforcement agency. Then there's Camel Alert, which is for a military member, in which they think that the military member is in some sort of distress or needs help. So like I said before, a lot of these cases stick with us. So this last part I wanted to share just in case you find yourself in need of this information or someone you know may be in need of this information in the future. The website explains that if your child goes missing, the first thing you should do is notify your local law enforcement officer. Once you've reached out to your local law enforcement police station or state police or whoever it may be, then contact the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-THE-LOST, where they can provide you with more information or information that you may not have had access to if you did not reach out to them. Hopefully no one watching this video ever has to use this information. I just wanted to put it out there just in case. Anyways, I just wanted to say thank you if you made it this far into the video. I truly appreciate it, and I will be back next time with my next video. Take care.